Mr. McClung.
I think Buck covered that pretty good. Like you said, we were just representatives of a lot of other companies. And I think that came about because of that show, The Search for Private Ryan. He was also in our company. But Bastogne, cold, that's all I could say. And not much sleep, miserable conditions, and I sure wouldn't want to go through it again.
We went up to Bastogne on the 18th of December of '44, very poorly equipped with everything, with summer uniforms on. We each had an overcoat, which helped in the severe cold, but the rest of our stuff were just the same things we had during summertime. Very poor rations, insufficient ammunition. When the German surrender ultimatum came in on the 22nd, probably it was the toughest time of the whole Bastogne era that we were there. But on the 23rd, hundreds of C-47s came over, dumped everything you can imagine. Our division medical staff had captured the first day, and they dumped all kinds of medical stuff, all kinds of ammunition, all kinds of food, hundreds and hundreds of planes. On the 23rd and on Christmas Eve, the division was in very good shape at that time, and that really was the big thing on our able to defend Bastogne properly. And it was the convincing of McAuliffe and with his aide Harry Kennard to tell the German nuts when they told us to surrender. Bastogne, Belgium was the toughest 30 days of any division in the history of World War II, period. In combat and weather conditions, both severe.
Thank you, Mr. Malarkey. Again, in the interest of time, what we're going to do now is we're going to fast forward a little bit to the last clip, which is the Eagle's Nest. After their triumph at Bastogne, Easy Company led the attack on the town of Foy, Noville, wresting those from the Germans. Eventually, they led the push into Germany to Hagenau, all the way down to the Austrian border, where Hitler had his Eagle's Nest, his personal residence, and the site of some Germans' last stand. So what we're going to do is show a brief clip about that, little commentary about the last days of the war, and then we'll open it up to the panel to discuss anything on their minds. Could we show the Eagle's Nest, please?
Harry, nobody gets hurt, not now. And Easy? Easy will head up the mountain through the Ober-Salzberg and take the Eagle's Nest. The Eagle's Nest was a surprise birthday present for Hitler, built with Nazi Party money. A mountaintop stone retreat, 8,000 feet up, accessible by a gold-plated elevator. It was one of the crown jewels of his empire, and the man was afraid of heights.
Now, you won't see Wild Bill or Buck Compton in those clips. They had left the company at that point. Wild Bill, in particular, lost a leg at Bastogne. One man, however, played quite a part at the Eagle's Nest. He was probably the first American, or at least the first member of the 101st up there. Mr. Earl McClung, could you just share your memories of the Eagle's Nest? Then anyone else on our panel is welcome to.
Well, yeah, we got there and they said, well, you can't get up there because they blew the road up. And so I told my platoon sergeant, who was Sergeant Rogers, I said, well, hell, there's nothing, you can climb over rocks. So I climbed over and went up there. And the only building up there that was standing was Goring's place. It was hit a few times, but it had the most beautiful wine cellar you ever saw in your life. It was bigger than this room. And so we got a lot of good stuff out of there. We even took it into Austria with us. They didn't know that we had those kegs that we had those boards set on the back of those trucks was kegs of cognac. It was, I don't know, there was nothing going on. It was just, there was no fighting or anything except for a few of the civilians that were trying to steal everything out of those places. But it was just a kind of a end of the war as far as we were concerned, I think.
Now that we've covered pretty much from the formation of the company to the end of the company's days. Oh, Mr. Malarkey, you'd like to comment?
If Adam introduced the head table properly, I couldn't get all the stuff, well, the language, but if it's properly introduced, he'll identify the two people in the white jacket as the two members of E Company with faces only a mother would love.
You've just been had, Bill.
Your face is only a mother would love.
You and I. Yeah.